Hello, I'm Janella Hamilton. Thanks for joining us. The Archdiocese of Vancouver is hosting a memorial mass in honor of the victims and families affected by last weekend's Lapu-Lapu Day Festival tragedy. 11 people were killed and dozens more were injured when the driver of an SUV rammed into the crowd. Amelia John joins us from outside the cathedral where the memorial is taking place. Amelia, the memorial is now underway. What has happened so far?
Janella, people started gathering here well before the mass got underway just over an hour ago. We saw a very large police presence here, including several officers on horseback. There are a number of high-profile guests inside, including Premier David Eby, Vancouver Mayor Ken Sim, and the interim chief of police, Rai, is here as well. Now, we spoke with a Filipino priest who actually works at this cathedral, Father Francis, before the event got underway, and he says that there has just been an outpouring of grief and sadness from really right around the world. People have been sharing their messages of condolence for those 11 people who lost their lives. But he said that today is about unity and healing and coming together. And that is a message that we've been hearing at this Mass from Archbishop Michael Miller, who's been speaking. We can share with you some of his words right now.
In times of catastrophe, people can be tempted to adopt the old saying, everyone for himself or herself. However, our gathering this evening in our cathedral tells a different story about who we are in Vancouver.
Amelia, you mentioned Vancouver's mayor is there along with other leaders. What is the mayor saying?
Yeah, Janella, this is a provincial day of mourning, and Mayor Ken Sim wanted to thank the first responders who responded last weekend to this tragedy, as well as people in the community who have been paying their respects. There's a large memorial that has been growing near the scene on Fraser Street near East 41st. People have been laying flowers and leaving messages there today. Ken Sim is also talking about safety, because that is obviously the big question that many people have now in the wake of this event. There is a big event happening this weekend on Sunday with the BMO Marathon. This is what he had to say about that question of safety.
Events are still safe, excluding an outlier. Each one goes through a security protocol. There's a risk assessment, and I can tell you we are revisiting everything we do, and BMO Marathon has additional eyes on it.
And I should just mention as well that Ken Sim mentioned that his own son will be taking part in the BMO Marathon this Sunday. 25,000 people expected to be there. He said if he didn't think it was safe, he would not let his son take part. Janella?
Thank you, Amelia. That's Amelia John reporting. The province, as you heard, has declared today a day of remembrance and mourning. At both the BC Legislature in Victoria and Vancouver City Hall, books of condolences were set up for people to sign. Pinky Wong has more.
As grief and mourning continue following the tragedy that killed 11 people at the Lapu-Lapu Day Festival last Saturday, here at Vancouver City Hall, a book of condolences has been set up for people to leave messages of sympathy and support to those who are affected.
I think it's really beautifully set up, and I was able to just spend my own time being really quiet, because like many people, I've just been thinking about the community and all the people affected all week, and I haven't been able to go to the site. So I'm really glad they have this for us.
I never imagined this kind of a tragedy could happen, because people were just out having fun at a festival and not expecting to have somebody rev up and drive into them. So it just, I don't know, it just makes me really sad. And I just feel like Vancouver has changed Yeah.
City Hall is open from 9 to 5 p.m. and people can come and sign the Book of Condolences till May 15th. And a similar book is also placed at the BC Legislature in Victoria.
To me, it was important to write, to be here, because I think written word is something that's holden sacred, but I also think it's so important to iterate that we stand with them, that we love them, that we are so sorry, that we hold grief and rage with them as well, that we also hold hope.
These communities are going to now be traumatized, and they need all of the love and support that they can possibly get from the surrounding community.
All the messages collected either in person or online will be bound into a single book of condolences to honor those affected. Pinky Wong, CBC News, Vancouver.
The memorial for the victims of Saturday's tragedy continues to grow. We spoke to those laying flowers and messages. Take a look.
Too young, too old, doesn't matter, but this is not supposed to happen.
I'm so sad what happened to this tragedy for them. I'm really sad.
We need to come together and stay strong as a community and really let people hear the impact that this has had on everyone.
I hesitated at first, but I'm glad I came now. It gives me a sense of inclusion.
I wanted to just write a note and let all people, especially Philippine people, that we are thinking of them and we hold them in our hearts.
It took us a long time to have this festival, like a street festival, in the sense that we always saw the Italians, the Greeks, we would go to that as families. And I think for us Filipinos, it was something that was a highlight because it took us years. And it was kind of like, wow, we made it as a community.
I went to this high school years ago, and I'm here every single day. And, it was hard to come here the first few days. And so I thought today's a good time to come down and pay my respects. As a Filipino, it hits home, it hits hard. But I think, we can't let this define us. And I think hopefully next year we'll have the Lapu-Lapu festival again, and we'll honor them during the festival next year.
Meanwhile, the man charged with murder in relation to the Lapu-Lapu Day deaths appeared in provincial court today. 30-year-old Kaiji Adam Lowe is charged with 8 counts of second-degree murder. Chad Pawson has more from provincial courthouse in Vancouver.
Kaiji Adam Lowe appeared virtually from where he's being held. He sat on a blue bench wearing an orangey-red jumpsuit with his head looking down and his hair disheveled. His appearance comes 6 days after 11 people were killed when they were run down at a Filipino-Canadian festival in Vancouver. The accused, Lowe, is facing 8 counts of second-degree murder. He was originally scheduled for a court appearance at the end of May, but that was moved up by his lawyer, Mark Schwartz. He requested the court have an assessment done to see if his client is fit to stand trial. That was granted and will take place at an in-custody facility with mental health professionals. All other details of today's appearance are under a publication ban. The judge on the case, Reginald Harris, says that's required to protect the fairness of a future trial. Lowe is next scheduled to appear in court on May 30th. Chad Pawson, CBC News, Vancouver.
Anyone taking a vehicle on BC Ferries from Horseshoe Bay Terminal to Nanaimo will need a reservation starting this fall. The corporation says it's reducing vessel capacity to make way for much-needed upgrades.
Horseshoe Bay is reaching the point in its life where it's going to need some significant work. And so that's what we're looking at over the next 7 years.
BC Ferries says vehicle space in the Horseshoe Bay Terminal will be reduced by 25%. The work will be replacing 3 berths, relocating the control tower, and upgrading elevated structures. Anyone traveling from Nanaimo to Horseshoe Bay will not have to reserve, but it is recommended. Following changes to BC's short-term rental rules last year, short-term rental operators had until May 1st to declare their units. But as Katie DeRosa reports, that date has now been pushed back. Despite that, BC's housing minister insists the new rules are working, lowering rents across the province.
Short-term rental operators had a date in mind, May 1st. That's when they had to declare their short-term rental through the province's new registry, which would pinpoint any short-term rental operators breaking the rules by having multiple units. Now that's been pushed back a month to give short-term rental platforms like Airbnb and Vrbo more time.
We had heard from some of them that they needed additional time to be able to create the technology to be able to link our systems.
Effective June 1st, hosts must have a provincial registration number displayed on all online listings. If they don't, their listing will be taken down. Even before the registry is up and running, the province's enforcement team is already catching rule breakers.
We've seen individuals who have 6, 7 properties, and they attach them to all their kids and their family members as primary residents.
Calon credited the province's short-term rental rules for lowering rents across the province. He pointed to Kelowna, where provincial figures show a vacancy rate that has risen from 1% to more than 3%, bringing the average rent for a 2-bedroom unit down by $230 a month. Kelowna's mayor says short-term rentals are one factor, but the city has also been fast-tracking new apartment buildings.
I believe there's a combination of a few number of things that are in place here.
The president of a short-term rental lobby group, which unsuccessfully sued the province over the new measures, says owners hope the province will eventually loosen the rules. But until then,
we've had to adapt and abide by the rules because they are law.
A representative for Airbnb says in a statement they're happy with the 1-month grace period, but their concerns on the short-term rental crackdown remain. Calon says if vacancy rates hover above 3% for at least 2 years, a municipality can apply to opt out of the short-term rental rules. Katie DeRosa, CBC News, Victoria.
A frantic search for a missing 7-year-old child ended with good news this afternoon. She was found safe and sound. The child went missing after running into a wooded area after some dogs yesterday. Saurabh Sandhu has more on the search and the relief.
I received a call from the watch commander who indicated that Lily has been found safe, quite a distance from her residence. However, she's in good health as far as we can tell.
RCMP say the 7-year-old followed her neighbor's dogs into a wooded area on Thursday evening, and that the dogs returned home about 5 minutes later without the girl. Police said officers and search and rescue personnel conducted air and ground search, going so far as to ask the public to avoid the area of Chilliwack Lake Road to allow emergency responders and investigative teams to operate without interference. It's not yet clear how the child was found. Police say they are awaiting those details.
Obviously, we'll have her medically checked and cleared, but it sounds like she's in good shape and has the ability to walk out under her own power.
The dramatic rescue came about after an army of volunteers and emergency crews combed the dense forest area all day long. A helicopter was deployed to help find the missing child. Police are thanking public and search and rescue crews involved to help the 7-year-old return home safely. Saurabh Sandhu, CBC News, Chilliwack.
Cell phone and internet service has been restored in Tumbler Ridge after it was cut off yesterday when a wildfire damaged a fiber cable near the community in northeast BC. A cluster of wildfires were detected north of Tumbler Ridge Wednesday, and one had been growing toward Highway 52 North or the Heritage Highway. That road is currently down to single-lane alternating traffic with a pilot car. Highway 29 from Chetwynd remains open and unaffected. A total of 29 wildfires are active across BC, and the Wildfire Service is asking people to refrain from open burning during the unseasonably warm weather today. Meanwhile, the Fish Creek wildfire on the north side of Fort St. John is moving out of the city after prompting evacuations yesterday. For more information, of course, you can head to our website. After the break, an up-close look at military artifacts recently unearthed in Vancouver. Are there more? More historic military artifacts have been unearthed in Vancouver. It's the latest discovery at the P&E grounds after construction crews working on the new amphitheater dug up a World War I field gun a few weeks ago. Michelle Morton saw the discoveries up close.
Hi again, James. Thanks for having us back.
Thank you for coming.
I hear more artifacts were found.
We have indeed. So this is the captured German artillery piece that was found at the P&E on March 27th. These are German machine guns from the First World War.
Wow.
These were brought back to Vancouver as war trophies. These are called MG08 15s. So this is the portable version of the German machine gun.
And you said I could pick one up?
You absolutely can.
Okay, let's do it.
They're a little bit greasy, but we've done a good job trying to clean them.
That's okay.
So they're heavy, but they're not ridiculously heavy. And this is considered a portable one.
Oh, wow. I'm just going to put this carefully back
Yeah, they're
here.
heavy. It's okay.
They are heavy.
They were buried for 85 years.
This here you said was a mystery, right?
They're a complete mystery.
Okay.
So what happened, we don't know why precisely they were at the park, but this is a British/Canadian 9-pounder muzzle loader. It's a Mark II. This one is dated from 1875, and the other one's dated from 1874.
They used to keep, you said earlier, the
There would be
ammunition
shot
here.
and powder in there, and then obviously it's a muzzle loader, so it would be, they would put the powder in from this end and then put the shot in, and then there's a touch hole right here. So they're in remarkable condition, but we don't know precisely why they're in Vancouver.
I know you said that you believe there's more buried in Hastings Park.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about that?
Well, so we know that there was, all the captured guns came back to Vancouver. We know that there's 16 of them at one point. And we know that they were all at Hastings Park in 1933-34. And so we have a record of 5 being destroyed. It was reported in the newspaper. There's one that we've already found in that German gun behind you, which leaves 9, 10 guns, depending on what the original number was at the park.
What are the next steps?
The next step is I'm going to be doing a presentation for the P&E and try and convince them of the same thing that I'm convincing you. I think that it's a really exciting opportunity, and they're really excited as well. So we're going to go in probably with ground penetrating radar, but I have to get permission to do that first.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for teaching us all about these artifacts and the history as well.
Yeah. Want me to show you a machine gun? Come on.
That's our Michelle Morton reporting. Prime Minister Mark Carney is going to meet U.S. President Donald Trump at the White House next week. Ashley Burke has those details.
Mark Carney campaigned on a promise to take on Donald Trump and win. Now one of his first tests.
I had a very constructive call with President Trump, and we agreed to meet next Tuesday in Washington.
The newly elected prime minister says that meeting will focus on Trump's trade war and their path forward after Carney declared their old relationship dead.
Are you interested in rebuilding relations with Canada?
I think we're going to have a great relationship. He called me up yesterday. He said, let's make a deal.
Carney says Trump didn't mention absorbing Canada on that call, but his administration has been clear it's still the president's goal.
He respects, as others who are good negotiators, and he's one of the best negotiators, they respect strength.
To show strength, during this trip to London before the election, Carney asked the king if he'd be open to delivering Canada's speech from the throne. Now King Charles has accepted the invitation.
It is actually quite a coup to have such a monumental visit so early in his term.
Jason Easton, a former trade advisor to Prime Minister Trudeau, says Trump likes the royals, and Carney's move sends a strong message.
Having the king deliver the throne speech and opening this session of Parliament is the clearest and loudest demonstration yet that Canada's sovereignty is not up for negotiation.
Trump's ambushed leaders before during negotiations, like Ukraine's president.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
Carney says he's going into the meeting prepared and expects difficult but constructive conversations.
I'm not pretending those discussions will be easy or they won't proceed in a straight line. There will be zigs and zags, ups and downs. But as I said in my remarks, I will fight for the best deal for Canada.
And warns that could take time.
Do not expect white smoke out of that meeting.
This is an introductory set of meetings, but Carney says the amount of time and access to senior White House officials suggests these are serious talks. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
A sunny and warm day in Kamloops. Darius will have our full BC forecast next. Darius Madavi is here with a look at our weekend weather. Darius?
Well, we've got that precipitation moving in. We're starting to see it reach the mainland. We've seen that rain also up in the central interior. We're seeing that cloud move in. The southern interior, still pretty sunny for now, but that's going to change as we get into tomorrow as some showers move in. And again, you can see that just on its way to the lower mainland now. The island already having seen some of those showers, dropping temperatures as well, because as that trough moves over, we're going to see some significant drops from just 10 degrees, almost 15 degrees in some places. So here's our precipitation forecast. Most of that is coming overnight tonight, but we may see some this evening, even here in Vancouver, probably starting in the next couple hours. We will also see, as that precipitation moves over into tomorrow, some unsettled conditions lingering. So especially on parts of the island, expect the possibility of some showers popping up tomorrow as well. I'd say the East Coast is probably the most likely place. And here we can also see that next wave of precipitation not arriving until next week. I'd say at this point, for the southern interior and the lower mainland, very much up in the air whether we're going to get that. It is still quite a ways away next Wednesday, but something to be aware of as you're making your plans for next week. Generally, though, next week seems like temperatures will climb again. We're going to be hot and sunny once more. But again, hottest today, those temperatures start to come down tomorrow or drop significantly tomorrow, and then they'll start to recover, especially on the coast, and the interior will follow shortly after as we get into early next week. Here are conditions for tomorrow. Again, lots of sunshine with some rain. Lots of sunshine on the coast, especially closer to the further west you go. And then for the interior, mostly just looking at some showers. And here's our 5-day forecast for Vancouver. Again, inland temperatures a little bit warmer in many areas, but also plenty of sun on the way once we get through that rain tonight.
All right, it sounds like a little bit of a mixed bag, but lots of sun on the way. Thanks, Darius.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us on CBC Vancouver News. On this day of mourning, we leave you now with more from those who are grieving. And just moments ago at the memorial, David Eby said, quote, "We mourn a loss of innocence and potential." Good night.
That was supposed to be a day of celebration. It was just a shock that someone could just do something so terrible.
It was so hard. It's my first time that I've experienced this kind of tragedy.
I was particularly shocked because I had just left the scene. I'm still feeling a lot of grief, a lot of rage.
We trust this community. It's very safe. And then suddenly, yeah.
For myself, it's been quite a few days to process everything that's been happening. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping we're all able to heal